Hey Pilates Party people, welcome to my channel or welcome back to my channel. My name is Caroline, a certified Pilates and yoga instructor here in Christchurch, New Zealand. Today we have a full body prenatal mat Pilates workout. We do have some props and tools to get this party started, so making sure you have your bolster or your pillow, as well as 1 kg or 2 kg weights just off to the side. That can look like soup cans or water bottles as well. Let's get this party started by standing at the top of your mat, feet are hip width distance apart, softening into the knees, and let's take it from toes all the way up to the beautiful crown of your head. Making sure that we're shifting our weight slightly back. So as Bubs grows and grows, we'll slowly start to feel that shift forward or that lean forward more onto the tippy toes. So let's shift it back into space towards those heels, grounding us down, maybe even starting to dance with the toes. Maybe spreading out the toes and feeling a scrunch, and then a spread out, scrunch, and then spread. Last two, maybe that dance or that scrunch and spread. And then settling in, making sure to still softly lift those toes off the mat. Heels have dug into that surface below you, and the big toe mound and the pinky edge are of equal weight down into the mat. So we're really nice and steady here. We'll take a look at those knees growing up towards the hips. So those knees are nice and soft, generously bent. That can be a little softer or a little bit more generous, depending on how you feel today. Then we're going to look at the pelvis, taking the hands onto the front of the pelvis or one hand onto the lower back, one hand onto the front of the pelvis here. As you exhale, feel that sensation of those two bony landmarks at the front of the pelvis, scooping towards the spine, lengthening through the tail. Imagine on the tailbone, the very end vertebrae of that spine, that you have a weight, and that weight is just going to drop towards the earth just by those heels. So we're sending the tailbone down towards the heels, feeling a sense of length through the lower spine. You can even take those knuckles and give yourself a little bit of massage just softly on that surface to lengthen it out. Last two breaths. And we'll slowly make our way up. Like a tree, we're growing from the roots all the way up through to our beautiful leaves or the crown of our head. So let's take a look all the way up at those shoulders. We'll take those shoulders, roll them up towards the ears and down into the back pockets, maybe one time, maybe two. Now you can make this movement a little bit more dramatic if it's there. Sliding those shoulder blades into the back pocket. Now we take a look at all the progress we've done. Those toes are soft on the earth. We're pressing through that tripod, the big toe mound, the pinky edge, and the heel. The knees are nice and soft, generously bent. We have a nice long lower spine. That weight is still attached to the back of the body, all the way down to the heel as it drops. Roll those shoulders. And then reach the crown of the head, nice and long, nice and strong, feeling that sensation of widening or broadening through the chest, the collarbones. They smile to either side of the room. Last breath here, and then we'll start to look at that breath a little deeper. So on the next inhale, maybe taking the hand to the lower tummy or the ribs. As you inhale, you feel a sense of lifting through the tummy, outward reach of those ribs towards the back, towards the side, towards Bubs in front. And as you exhale, soften down, ribs draw back into frame. The lower abdominals lift up and in, or you feel that sensation of hugging Bubs in towards the spine. Inhale, we'll expand a little bit more, filling up the tummy, the ribs to every single side of that room, the back of the ribs as well, and then feeling a soft lift of the heart to where the ceiling meets that wall. And as you exhale, the heart starts to melt, the ribs draw back into frame, and the lower abdominals lift up and in or hug Bubs in. One more time. Continue that breath here. We're going to find those arms here. So rolling those shoulders if it feels good, taking a hold of those weights if you wanted them. You can always check in, making sure that it feels good throughout your practice. The knees are still nice and soft. We still have that slight lean back. The toes are still dancing. The tail is still nice and long, and we're still feeling that 360 breath. So big, beautiful breath. As you inhale, we're going to reach those arms out to the side. Flip the palms. Exhale to draw those elbows in towards the side. From here, as you inhale, reaching out, we're going to find a little swivel. The ribs are going to swivel over the top of bubs, sweeping to one side. Back to center on the inhale. Exhale. Reaching out. And to the other side. Back to center. Notice that the hips are staying nice and square. And as you reach out through those arms, they don't want to sweep across the body. They want to stay in that beautiful T. So when you land back at center, they're there. And they're able to draw back in. Still finding that 360 breath. Just slowly swiveling the ribs over bubs, keeping the hips nice and square. One more time. Drawing back to center. And when you're ready, reaching out, taking that swivel, one side or the other. Back to center. Draw them in and draw them forward. Now that's our new add. We reach out, we find that swivel. We reach back to center, draw the elbows in, keep them in as you draw the hands towards one another. Out, reach, swivel, back to center. Last one. Well done. One more time. Draw them in. Draw it out. And drape those arms. Roll out those shoulders. Whew. All right. Taking those weights just off this side, we're going to find a little bit of stability through the pelvis. So from here, we're going to find a nice roll onto the tippy toe. So lift that left heel off the earth, making sure the pelvis, if you have a mirror, this is really nice just to check in on that pelvis, that we're not shifting one hip up, then the other one sinking down into the earth. We're keeping those hips nice and level, so the knee is bending. The heel is lifted, and we're just going to slowly roll from the big toe mat on the pinky edge of that lifted foot. Heel lands, press it into the mat, roll onto the other. I'm going to roll back and forth, just opening up through the fascia under the foot, spreading out through those toes. That's the one. Ooh, you might find some cracks there. A little creaky toe there I have. You maybe hear it. Keep going here. The hands are on the hips just to give you a little bit of feedback that if you're starting to hike one hip up, then the other, we're just isolating, keeping the hips nice and square, like the upper body doesn't even know what's going on here. It's just that roll up, that bend in the knee. Last one on either side. Rounding through the heels, moving that weight back towards the heels, we'll come into a narrow-legged squat. So those hands will stay on the hips here, and imagine your friend is just scooting a chair just behind you, but a little bit further than we anticipated, so we're almost searching with that tailbone back into space. So keep the spine nice and long. As you exhale, hug bubs in. Feel that sensation of sending the sit bones back. Inhale here. And as you exhale, hug bubs in, lifting up, slight engagement to the glutes. Slowly shifting back. Exhale, shifting up. Keeping the spine nice and long, that width through the collarbones. You are more than welcome to stay here, especially if your pelvic floor, you've been told by your GP or healthcare provider that you shouldn't have any wide-legged movements. But if you have not been told that and it feels good today, we'll have a little bit of a wide-legged stance. Feet are a little bit more than hip-width distance apart. Toes are out to the side. Heels are slightly in. Find your turnout that feels good to you. Keeping those hands on the hips. And then gently folding into the knees just a little bit, like a half squat or even a half of a squat. Then we're going to shift the weight from one side to another, keeping the pelvis almost at neutral. So imagine the pelvis is just sliding back and forth. Otherwise, if this doesn't feel good, finding those nice narrow-legged squats. You can have a little play, lifting through the arches of the feet. Last two. Now we're all finding those knee drives. So drawing back to center, heel toe, back to hip width distance apart. Those hands are going to stay on those hips, making sure the hips stay nice and square. Rolling on to that right toe mound, big toe mound, pinky edge, lifting the heel off, finding that stabilization to the left leg, and drive the knee into the chest. Then slowly tap it down, toe lands, rolling through to the heel, rolling up to the toes, and lifting to the other side. Tap the toes, roll it back down. Keep going here, find your march. Last two. Then we're going to find our way into all fours. Lowering down, and we'll find our way into all fours. So coming down into all fours, however feels good to you. Depending on where you are in your pregnancy, sometimes different positions feel a little different than others. Taking just one of those weights or both of those weights off to the side, and I'm going to take my pillow up there with me just for later on in practice. So here in all fours, the hands are nice and wide. Fingertips reach to every single angle they possibly can, spreading out nice and wide from one another. Pressing into the pinky edge side of each hand. Now, if this is not feeling great on those wrists, take a little bit more of the fold out of those wrists by walking the hands slightly forward. Otherwise, if it's still not feeling good, take those hands back under the shoulders, but find fists, taking away that nice fold from the wrist. As you exhale from here, knees are under the hips, pressing the shins, the tops of the feet into the mat. And then we'll take a nice inhale here, puffing up the chest, so reaching through those shoulders, pressing away from the mat. And then as you exhale, just let the chest melt through those shoulders. Elbows stay nice and long. Inhale, puff up, breathe through the back of the ribs, and slowly exhale, drape it down. Continuing here, protraction and retraction through the shoulder blades. It feels as if the shoulder blades are just sweeping towards the chest on the inhale, exposing the back ribs. And then as you exhale, we're drawing those shoulder blades together in the back of the body, draping the chest down. Last one. Now we're going to keep that protraction, so press away from that mat, keeping that pinky edge side of the finger pressing into the earth. We'll take some pelvic rocks. So imagine the pelvis like a wave, rolling the tailbone down towards the backs of the knees, rolling it to the right or to the left, big circle all the way around. Draw a circle with that tailbone. First in one direction, and then the other. Switching back to the first direction. And then the other. Drawing back to center. The tail is nice and long, reaching towards the back wall. The crown of the head is reaching towards the front wall. And take one of those weights if it feels good, onto the left hand. If it doesn't, that's okay. We're still using the left hand to exhale, hug bubs, reach that left arm forward, palm facing in. Inhale, drawing back down. Exhale. Inhale. Finding all those stabilizing muscles to reach the arm forward and draw it back without any sort of shifting into the shoulders. The shoulders are square, so are those hips. Last one, and we're on to the other side. Roll that weight over to the other side. Finding that setup, pressing through the palms of the hands, that slight protraction forward, reaching forward, hug bubs, and soften. Last 4. 3, hips are nice and square, so are their shoulders. Drawing back to center, roll that weight off to this side. Now, if you need to, roll out those wrists. Otherwise, we're going to stay in all fours, extending that left leg out nice and long. Now, roll that left hip slightly down to align with the right. And as you exhale, hugging bubs in and up, pointing the toe and flicking some sand behind you. Tapping down, flick the sand with the toes and reach towards the back wall. We're here for 4. Last 2. Last 1. Fold the knee under. On to the other side we go without missing a beat. Find that balance, lengthen through. Flick the toes, reach, and slowly draw down. Align that breath. Exhale. Inhale. Last 4. 3. 2. And fold that knee under. Taking that pillow, if you have it, coming on to your side body, facing towards your screen. Laying down onto your side here, if it's comfortable. Always find what feels comfortable in practice. Making sure those heels align with the spine. The hand is on the top hip. As you exhale, hugging bubs, lifting bubs up away from the mat just slightly, and then keep those heels together. Lift that top knee. Hips are nice and square. Inhale, soften down. Exhale, stacking one hip over the other. Last 4. Really nice. Last 2. And 1. This time we're going to leave that knee up to the sky. Roll that top hip slightly forward. It really wants to be in alignment with the bottom. Little pulses at the top. So keep those ankles together, the heels together, lifting that knee, an inch or 2 up, an inch or 2 down. Last 5, you'll start to feel it on the outer side of that leg, that glute. 4, 3, 2, 1. And slowly taking that top hand, pressing yourself away from the mat, finding the other side, maybe rolling over or turning it all around, breakdancing it. Resting gently towards the mat once again on the other side. Fold those knees, ankles in line with the spine, hand on that top hip, hugging bubs in and up. Hand onto that top hip with those hips nice and square. Exhale, reach and lower. We're almost at the end of practice here. Really nice, gentle, slow, caring movements. Checking out how we feel in the body day to day will change. This exercise, maybe coming back to it at some points and noticing the changes. Some days it will feel harder than others. Isn't that always the way? Last 2. All right, are we ready for it? Make sure those hips are nice and square. Lift that top knee. Little pulses, inch up, inch down, maybe 2 inches up, 2 inches down. It doesn't have to be fast. Ooh, that second side. There's something about that second side. You feel it right away, don't you? It's wild. We're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Draw the knee down. Now take your time to come up to a nice seated position. Moving kindly. We'll take that pillow just under the sit bones and just sitting to the front of the sit bones, or sitting to the front of that pillow, making sure that the pelvis can be in just slightly a different orientation as the hands melt down towards the knees. The eyes flutter closed or the gaze just softens, taking a moment of stillness, maybe a moment of breath. Once again, filling up from the tummy, the ribs, 360 breath, and the heart softly lifts. And exhale, letting it all go. A gentle hug to Bubs for 2 more breaths. You're more than welcome to stay in your stillness. Maybe finding a few more breaths here. But I'll see you in your next Pilates practice. And I hope you had a great practice today. Let me know in the comments if you would like to see anything or how you feel. Maybe checking in, maybe leaving a comment now, coming back to the practice and leaving another comment just to track your journey, to show our community what's going on and how it's going. And I'll see you next time. Bye.